This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
And good morning, and welcome to we have a no game on this Sunday because we played Thursday edition of Halas Hall Report. Of course, with us, we've got Mike the Bear fan in the background doing his producer thing. We've got Bear Down Mike. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
And we've got Woody with a special guest sitting by his side, the newly acquired gorgeous puppy, Angel. There's Angel. She's going to have some great predictions today. We already know. Because like her owner, she has no opinion.
No, she has no opinion. All right, she says "fuck you." So
yeah, she's opinionless.
Yep.
So yeah, it's Sunday. There's no football for us today, except for what we get to watch on the couch, which is going to be what we're going to do from next a week from Monday on. So some games. We had a game on Thursday where it's funny in a way. It's sad, but it's funny in a way because, like, Vikings fans, for some reason, want to talk trash to us. Oh, my God, you only scored 3 points. And Seattle only scored 6, which unfortunately was enough for them to win because we just keep finding new and interesting ways to lose a game. 2 touchdowns called back. The game winner, which was the legit touchdown, the game winner, of course, that Caleb threw that absolutely rope of a dime to Rome in the end zone as he rolled out to the left. And then, of course, offensive holding on the line. Good morning, Sarah. And then, of course, the Gordon touchdown, which actually that whole play was funny. And you know what? It was a good point to kids. He played the whistle, which is what we were always taught as kids, right? Play the whistle. And he played the whistle, and he had some fun on the way to the end zone doing it, right? Pointing the fans, stirring up peace signs. And then they called it a touchdown, and the stadium went absolutely nuts. It was the cruelest joke the referees ever played because 10 seconds later, down by contact. But finding new and interesting ways to lose. Of course, with a minute 35, you get the ball left with 2 timeouts. And why the hell do you run the play clock down to 1 twice?
Mm-hmm.
So that was our game Thursday. We find more new and interesting ways to lose. I think we could all agree that Thomas Brown is not the head coach of the Chicago Bears going forward.
No.
So, hey, you're welcome, Sarah. But you know what? I mean, look, it even though it was only 6-3, it was a very good defensive game. I know some people like defensive games, like people like pitchers' duels in baseball. Some people love them, most people don't. I don't know, Woody. I know you don't have an opinion on the game, but what did you think about the game?
Well, our defense finally showed up. Even though Seattle didn't have Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet ran. You know, he did an all right job. DK Metcalf, it was little girl fucking tantrum that he had.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Lockett, you know, we kind of held him down a little bit, but since Thomas Brown, you know, since the firing of Eberflus, I mean, can we say that the defense finally showed up for that game in the first time in 4 weeks?
Yeah. And you know what's great about Stevenson? And okay, so that whole deal with DK, Bears Twitter, of course, being the very positive place that it is most times. Oh my God, Tyreek is terrible. Get rid of him. Now DK is going to go off because he, enraged DK, blah, blah, blah. Dude shut DK down. They made him into not 1, but 2 personal fouls in the same play. I mean, look, I know Stevenson always gets a knock now in our head because of the Hail Mary play. But, dude, Stevenson, locked DK down and then made him get a penalty, which killed all the momentum that they were trying to build at the time. I mean, the defense, you're right, Woody. Defense showed up, and Stevenson was a big part of that. Obviously, a silver lining, considering your defense is on vacation, you all held them to 6 points. Yeah,
Hey,
Sarah.
Sweat showed up. He had a sack.
Yeah.
We had 3 sacks, I think, on.
Let me bring up the numbers.
Oh, that was kind of a gimme on Sweat because he kind of just slipped and fell.
Sack's a sack, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, sack's a sack.
I mean, he's been getting pressure all year. He just hasn't been getting home. And I mean, I get it. He's been playing hurt the whole year, pretty much. He's been getting pressure. He just couldn't the whole year. He just couldn't get home. Let me pull up the numbers for you, Woody. So
we can't win. I think we had 180 yards total. You're not winning games with fucking 180 yards total offense.
No.
Yeah, I'll give you. Okay, here are the stats. I got the stats up. All right, so time of possession. By 40 seconds. Offensive plays, we ran 58. They ran 51. Yardage, they had 265. We had 179. They averaged 5.2. We averaged 3.1. They had 3 penalties for 25 yards, 4 for 23, and of course, one of those erased the touchdown. Field goals, well, they were 2 for 2. We were 1 for 1. Turnovers, of course, the interception that Caleb threw on the very last play of the game to end the streak was hit for the Bears. 2 fumbles, 0, but we recovered both. They had 2 fumbles and we recovered one of them. They got 2 of them back. Passing, yeah. Okay, so Caleb was 16-28, 57.1% completion, 76 yards passing, 2.7 yards per attempt, 4.8 yards per completion. He took 7 sacks, which is 20% of his drop back.
Jesus
46
Christ.
yards and a pass rate of 47.3. Gino was 17 of 23 for 73.9%, 143 yards passing, 6.2 yards per attempt, 8.4 yards per completion. Took 3 sacks, which is 11.5%, 17 yards lost on his sacks, with a passer rating of 89.6. The running game, I won't go through all of it, but let's just say it was 25 to 23 for carries, and they had 122 and we had 103. They averaged 4.9 and we averaged 4.5. So I guess I did go over all of it. First downs, they had 12, we had 11. Third down conversions, we both converted 5. They were 5 of 13, we were 5 of 15.
God, that is terrible.
Hey Taylor, you don't need to punt too much. Get the fuck out of here.
Punts. They had 6, we had 7. Torrey's average was 46.7. Their average was 48.
All right, now bring up the yardage from Caleb Williams to the punter Taylor.
Please.
We'll just make it short staff. It's double the yards.
Yeah, I'm about to say I'd have to put that together.
But no, on our first possession of the year for every game, it's pathetic.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, the sad thing is, though, in week 16 and week 17, or was it one of those 2 weeks, we actually were starting to do something, then we self-sabotaged again. Right? I mean, it's not like it's just like a 3 and out. It's like a 3 and out with a penalty. But before we get too much into that, because let me get to Mike. So bear down Mike, because he didn't give his thoughts on Thursday yet. So, Mike, what do you think about Thursday?
Poll's gone.
That's my thought. We'll talk about that, but it's just frustrating. The wide receivers and Caleb were not connecting. Rome was coming across the field. Rome stopped when Caleb got him going across and overthrew him. I mean, Caleb. Some of those sacks were on Caleb.
It's not like there's a chart about that, Mike. But the Woody and I talked about that specific pass before the show, before you got on. And the thing with that one, Caleb didn't overthrow him. Caleb thought he was going to run through the middle. Rome thought, I should snap out here. That's not so. It's not that anyone overthrew anyone. It's that these two need that communication. That need a lock.
Yeah, nobody was connected.
Well, here's
he missed Everett on a touchdown throw.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. But here's a question, guys. We don't know the playbook, so who was wrong in that aspect? Even say Caleb said, "Yeah, keep going," but Rome says, "Oh, I'm going to stay here." So who's right? We don't know the playbook. We don't know anything. It could have been Caleb. It could have been Rome. So
The second after the play, though, they cut to Caleb, and you saw Caleb doing this. He was
Right.
yelling,
Exactly.
keep going,
We're gonna
keep
go this
going.
way.
Well, here's the thing. I believe some of it is on Caleb, but also a lot of it goes to the offensive line. He's been hit 90 times this year, sacked 67 times. Here's the stats for the offensive line for just the Seattle game. Terrible.
That was
Karan is just
And not to mention, when we go into the offseason, we're only going to have a few offensive linemen on the books. Everybody else is free agents.
So keep that up, Mike, real quick. Of those 5, only 3 of those guys will probably be on the roster next year.
right.
Maybe.
Turhan will probably be gone.
Maybe I think just right.
I think Wright and Pryor.
We have the second cheapest O line in the league.
Actually,
Yeah.
And that's
Pryor,
showing it right there.
Pryor,
Yeah.
okay, so Darnell Wright's obviously a rookie contract. He's not going anywhere.
Yep.
Turhan, I think he's not a rookie contract. He's not going to stay. Shelton right now, unless they can sign another one in free agency, which really the only upgrade guy that's going to be out there is from Atlanta. If he gets to free agency at all, like you'd sign him and let Shelton go. If not, they're going to have to re-sign Shelton because there's no one else.
Are you talking about
Pryor, I would keep only because I mean that's probably his worst game so far. But if he's not a starting right, he should. First off, he's normally been at the right guard, but you've noticed he's been right guard, right tackle, right guard. Yesterday he was at the left guard, right? On the right guard side, his PFF score is like double that, more than double that. And Borum will probably be here if there's no one else out there just to fill up the roster spot. Because here's the thing about Larry Borum. I think he sucks as an everyday lineman. However, he is really good to give you 1 or 2 series as you rotate guys through. Like he's a good rotational guy that you can count on for like, look, let's say you need to give Braxton Jones a breather for a series. Borum is your guy. He will maintain. But if you ask him to do it for multiple games as a starter, this was his second game as a starter. He was okay last week. This week it dropped off significantly. Well, the whole line did. But that's the thing about Borum. He's a good rotation guy. He'll never be a starter. That when you're filling out 10 linemen, you might sign him as your 10th guy because there's no one else. You see what I'm saying?
How long has Larry Borum been on this team?
Since Jenkins, if that helps you.
So that's on Borum. He didn't develop.
Well, some guys don't.
No, you can blame it on coaching too.
Well, but some guys.
He's had what 4 years? 4 years to get better.
So, but some guys become
and he's
career
still bad as a
Mike.
starter.
But
So
Mike,
he's done.
some guys just
I let
become
him go.
career backups. Or might be that guy who's a career backup in Chicago, and that's fine.
He's
I just
been a
know-
career backup, but
I mean, you
he's
can't
not
have a
improving.
roster of 10 starting offensive linemen. It doesn't happen.
Well,
in
you're
the
not.
NFL.
Well,
You're not gonna
with the
have
problem
that
with
at
the Bears is they're doing too much rotational. This guy's hurt, so then this guy moves from left guard to right guard to
Right.
left tackle. Like it's just too much. You know what I mean?
Ask Cody
should
Whitehair about
You
that.
need somebody that's going to stick around, that actually going to stay healthy. And you might disagree with me, Ken, but I don't think we're going to keep around Jenkins just for the fact that he cannot stay healthy whatsoever.
No.
I see just a couple people staying on this roster for the offensive linemen for depth. Borum's possible, Pryor's possible, and Coleman. Other than that, like I did a little investigation. There is some people out there that will be available
Maybe.
that's done better than them guys.
So Jenkins, though, I think if you can sign him cheap, you sign him because your worst case scenario, he's not your everyday starter, but he's rotation.
Well, if it's cheap, yes, because when he plays, he's top of his game, top 10 of his position. But he's hurt.
Jenkins
You're
gonna
only
get?
getting 10 games out of him.
But is Jenkins going to command more than $4 or $5 million a year anywhere?
Well,
Probably not.
if he doesn't, I definitely sign him for sure. I just don't want him to sign him to that big deal. Like he can't stay healthy enough to do that. And the guy from Atlanta, are you talking about the center, Drew Dahlman?
Yeah, Dahlman. If he actually makes it, he's PFF grade 5th overall. If he actually makes it, like, is Atlanta really going to let him go with Penix now becoming their starting quarterback? I doubt it.
I gotta say, now, if there was any centers better than Coleman, you throw them in the bag.
Well,
here's
Dahlman only
the-
has
those
2
guys.
penalties this year, and he's only gave up 2 sacks all year.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Is Atlanta even going to let him hit the free agent market?
No,
He's going to be pricey, though. He's going to be
That's fine.
pricey.
We got the
You
price.
have the second cheapest line in the league. You're going to throw the bag at somebody.
No,
I
I'm
mean-
with you, Mike, for sure.
I mean, look at. I
to
think
get some help.
We're going to have
Dahlman,
$86 million.
no, we got. Well, actually, Mike, let's add that because it's going to be between a 20 to 30 million add-on to that when they increase the cap. Let's just call it 106, right? For all intents and purposes, let's call it 106, or let's call it 86 and say we're going to spend 20 million between Keenan Allen, and
That's if he stays.
Sanborn,
Yeah,
and some of the guys we're going to re-sign, right?
Phil-
So we got money. We can throw the bag at one or two guys easily. If Dahlman is available, dude, throw the guy 13, 14 mil a year because he is an upgrade over Shelton. No argument there. But if you look now, I know, bear down, Mike, you hate PFF grades. Unfortunately, the rest of the NFL world doesn't. If there's anyone better than Shelton on that list for PFF grades this year as a free agent, okay, if they're an upgrade over Shelton, you take it. Unfortunately, there isn't. A lot of these other guys are out there like mid to late 30s at center position, right? So they're in the twilights of their career now. And Shelton's 29, so he's not a spring chicken himself, but he may be the best option available to us at veteran center. That doesn't mean you don't draft the center. And if you draft the center in the third or fourth round and he can start right away and be better, you could do that. You could still do that. But as far as free agency at the center position, what's out there that's actually going to be better? That's the problem. And the PFF grading is what determines that because of their blocks, and they grade them on how many times they've gotten beaten, giving up sacks, giving up pressures, blah blah blah. I'll remind you that Shelton is more than twice his number. The last year the center was a sieve where they walked through. He plugged that hole this year. Compared to last year, it's night and day.
Well, Drew does play center and center only. There's other people out there that's going to be a free agent that plays other positions besides center, and that's from Tampa Bay, Robert Hainsey. He's only got one penalty. He's gave up 0 sacks.
How old is he?
He plays center and guard. He's 26.
He's going to be one that we'll look at, and we probably need him more.
And
the
then
right
there's
guard.
one other one from Arizona. Again, 0 sacks and 0 penalties, and his name's Tristan Cullen.
So those are guys. If they hit the free agent market. Good morning, Cam. If they hit the free agent market, cool. But here's a question, Mike. With those stats, what are the odds of those guys hitting the free agent market?
Well, it just depends because right now they're going to be free agents at the end of the year. I mean, have they been talking about signing them on their team?
Right.
Sure, not yet. But as of today, they're free agents at the end of the year.
When the season's over, after next Sunday for some of these teams, is Atlanta really going to let Dahlman hit the free agent market? Now, if they
not with a young quarterback starting, I wouldn't.
And he's only 26 also.
I wouldn't get rid of your best offensive lineman if you have a new quarterback coming in. I would not.
But the problem is with Atlanta, do they have the money to spend on them? We all know they can convert this over to signing bonus and stuff like that, but
I mean,
they're dealing with enough salary cap issues.
I mean, Mike, we've been doing this long enough to know that they always find the money. I mean, I don't think Atlanta.
Well, it's not that they find the money. They always got that loophole that I'm against. Let's switch this over to a signing bonus. Regardless, money spent, it should be against the cap. There should be no
the kid in Tampa. Tampa's got the money. And where's the other guy? The one was from Tampa. The one's from Atlanta. Arizona, they got money too.
Well, Mike, if you can do this, because I'm interested about you're talking about the Atlanta offensive line and stuff like that with the center. What is the other PFF grades on the other part of the offensive line? Because I want to see it. PFF grades are
Atlanta.
Yeah, they're PFF. Yes, individually, awesome trait to follow. But I want to. It doesn't matter how high these PFF grades are. It's matter if these guys can fucking play together. Obviously, we can have the best PFF grades on the team on the offensive line. And if they can't work together, they're not good for the team. Then they're not good for our offense and stuff like that. But I respect the PFF grades, like what you're saying, Ken. But can these guys play together? That's the whole thing.
Well, and look at this. This is the starting lineup now for next week projected. Borum, Curhan on the left, Shelton at center, Pryor and Wright on the right. I mean, Shelton, Pryor, Wright. That combination of three on the center to right has played together. If that actually happens now, 4 times this entire season, or 5 times maybe. 4 or 5 times tops. It's that bad. Like that's to your point, Woody. We don't. There's always a new guy or 2 new guys in there. Shelton has been there every game. He's the only offensive lineman who has been there every game. He's taken the most snaps of any offensive lineman on the Bears roster this year. Darnell Wright missed 1 game. His overall PFF right now is a 78, ranked 19th in the league out of 78.
Yeah, he's not bad.
Shelton is at a 67.5 overall, ranked 12th out of 42 in the league. Pryor, who hasn't been a full-time starter, is actually at 67.4 for the season, ranked 26th in the league. But like I said, I wouldn't expect him to be a starting right guard next year, and that's where he's been primarily. But I would expect him to be on the roster because he's a super sub. You could put him at right guard. You could put him at left guard, and he's going to be pretty adequate more times than not. Better on the right side than the left side, but he's going to be a good protection measure at right guard if you have a rookie, let's say, there, right?
So, Ken, my question to you is, even though they have high PFF grades and stuff like that, and you're the coach, you would keep them on the team even though how our offensive line looked?
I like the best starting 5 I just gave you. I let Curhan, I just let walk. Borum is like, okay, if I need a 10th guy, I make him my 10th guy. I keep, if I don't have a replacement for Shelton, like the kid from Atlanta, like if I can get Dahlman, I replace him. If I can't, I keep him because there's not another replacement out there that's worth spending the money on. You see what I'm saying?
So if we don't if we don't get any players in free agency and offensive line, just for depth, you would still keep those players.
Well, no. I mean, look, I would not keep Curhan for depth. I would keep Borum for depth if he was my last guy. Like, okay, I need a 10th guy. Well, Borum is still here. Well, he's been pretty good in spot duty. He's not good as a 2 or 3 game starter, but he's good for a series or a quarter or a spot game. For a spot game, he's decent. But like, he's like a backup quarterback. After that first start, tape gets out on him and they start picking on him, right? So I would probably, out of the 10 guys on the roster, 3 of them I would get rid of for sure. And after that, it's situational. Like, okay, do we have a center to upgrade that's actually in the free market? What are we drafting? If we draft a center, or if we draft a right guard in the first round, Pryor becomes less of a priority to re-sign. You might still re-sign him, right? But he becomes less. There's a lot of situational stuff that happens there. It depends what actually hits the free agent market. And it depends what the draft is going to be. Because some of those guys you can leave unsigned till after the draft and then go back and get them.
So
but it's not just the center position that we're lacking. I believe it's healthy, and it brings it down to Jenkins. In my view, like I believe they're going to pretty much. I think they're going to let him walk, man. He's going to go somewhere else, and he may play good, but like I said, he's not worth but 10 games. Only if he's in that 4 million range, yes, we keep him. But other than that, you got other guys out there too, like the guy from Denver, Matt Pert. He's only had 1 penalty and 0 sacks, and he's played all year.
So you got to think, though, on top of this, are these teams, since they're so good, not giving up sacks or penalties, why are these fucking teams going to not re-sign them at all? That's the question.
I mean, some of that might be because they are cash strapped. And they have to put the resources elsewhere. Like, okay, I don't have $15 million to spend on this guy in a lineman because I need a running back or a receiver or whatever the case may be. Because every team they had on their big board, they put how much money the money pie, they're willing to spend on that position group, right? So for Denver, let's say they're going to spend $30 million and they're at 27, and this guy wants 10. They might not sign him because he's going to then make it where they can't sign the linebackers they need to sign, or it comes down to all that kind of weird stuff.
Well, question for you, Ken, too, is so if there's no, like, say if these teams re-sign their big offensive linemen,
right?
My question to you is, how many rookies are going to be on the offensive line next year?
I probably say at least, starting or just on the line in general?
Starting, because of our offensive line issues.
I would say at minimum 1, whoever you take in the first round has to start.
Will Campbell at LSU.
And then
he was on my radar too.
So I would say, whoever you draft, that'd be your first one. And then depending on it in the second round, I mean, look, I think both our picks in the second round are going to be in the top 10, right?
Right now, we're 7th pick. Right now.
Right.
7.
So, I mean, whoever you take in the second round, you probably are going to take an edge, right? And another O lineman, possibly. So, your second round draftee, depending on the position, might start, if not week 1, maybe by week 3 or 4, at some point would become a starter. Like, maybe I would think that they might draft a left tackle in the second round because Braxton might not be back for the season. So actually, you could have start the season with a rookie right guard and a rookie left tackle.
So I just want to, I want to go through this because I'm doing like research, like Mike, Bear Down Mike just said, the guy from LSU. So now
Campbell. He's a tackle.
So right now, if the draft started today, the Bears would be 7th.
Right. Before today's game.
Before today's game, yes. So Giants, their number 1 pick so far. They're probably going to get a quarterback. New England, their biggest needs are offensive line as well.
That's
or cornerback.
The entire league, yep.
Right.
I really think they need actual weapons.
Jacksonville, maybe a quarterback, cornerback as well. This is their needs, their biggest needs, I'm saying. Cleveland, their biggest needs are edge, offensive tackle.
Yep.
Tennessee, wide receiver and quarterback. Yep. Vegas, quarterback, wide receiver. And then us, we need offensive line. So there's a couple teams in front of us, like 2 or 3, that might go after an offensive lineman. Do I think they will? No, not that high in the draft. But 7th pick would be perfect.
What if we remember back like to 9? Let's say the 2 teams that we swapped with before Thursday, lose today. That takes us back to 9. So on that list you're looking at right now, look, the 2 teams are directly after us.
Jets, quarterback, defensive tackle. Carolina, edge and wide receiver.
So that's it. So at least one other team that needs an O lineman. So it comes down to what's going to be available, right, in free agency. We won't know we won't know for a while because when free agency doesn't start to what, like March. Yeah. So they got a lot of weeks to re-sign their guys. And then the draft will be the draft. Right? I mean,
Mike, before we go to the polls, can you, since you have the computer, can you tell me what Joe Alt's PFF grade is?
Oh, yeah, give me a second.
Yeah.
Because he was just picked 5th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Alt for the season. My mouth's working. All right, Joe Alt is coming up.
78.5 overall.
Yeah.
77.2 blocking, pass blocking, and 75.6 run blocking.
So
7 penalties.
7 penalties and 6 sacks allowed.
We have enough draft picks next year. Like we had 9th pick last year. Joe Alt was 5th. I would have did fucking everything to get him.
Yeah, but if you look at his stats right here look good. But if you look at his ranking, he doesn't do any better than 27th.
Yeah. You see what I mean about the
his overall
PFF?
Grade his overall grade
is Harbaugh.
His overall.
His overall is 16. So when you compare that to his contemporary, which is Darnell Wright's ranked 19. They're pretty comparable.
But Darnell Wright's been in the league a couple more seasons.
This was his second year. So, yeah, this is his second year.
Right, so but here's the thing with Alt. He's not jumping around from left tackle to right tackle. He specifically stays at right tackle. He has 3 snaps at left tackle, probably because of an injury.
Exactly. That's why we need depth. Somebody gets hurt, like Cody Whitehair, played every position on offensive line when we got injuries.
That's my argument for keeping Pryor because he's been that guy for the Bears.
Right.
Well, most of our guys we got on the offensive line can play multiple positions.
Yeah, but Pryor's been the best.
Some of the guys on the offensive line was never drafted.
Yeah,
he was the best.
There's a reason.
He's the best of all of them at playing multiple positions, though. Like, of all those guys that have been backups, Pryor's been the most stable. But he's been better at right guard. He's been a right guard for the most amount of games. But he's also been a left tackle, a left guard, and a right tackle. The dude has played every position but center this year.
Right. I think three guys on offensive line were undrafted. Yeah. Darnell Wright's the highest at number 1. and then our next two were fifth and sixth round picks.
Well, no. When was Braxton Jones? What round was he in?
Braxton Jones,
He's
fifth.
a fifth round.
Yep.
Was he fifth round?
Yeah, he's
So-
a fifth round. He's played up to, he's overplayed his position in the draft, right? For a fifth round pick.
Yeah.
But if we go get Will Campbell at LSU, plays that left tackle, Braxton would be a great depth piece behind him.
So real quick on Shelton, Ryan Coleman Shelton. He's his overall grade now after Thursday is 67.5, 15th in the league, so he dropped 1,059 snaps, which is second in the league for centers. That's how many snaps he's made. 4 penalties on the season, 3 sacks allowed. 67.1 on the pass block, 69.2 on the run block, playing the second most snaps in the league at center. But what sticks out with him, 4 penalties, 3 sacks, that's it for basically 10,000 or 1,059 snaps. That's pretty darn good. That's why he's ranking so high. I mean, he's consistent. 29 years old, so you're not going to throw him a bag. You're not going to give him a shitload of money. But if you can't get Dahlman, you're going to retain that guy. Good morning, Yoli.
I don't mind. I don't mind keeping Shelton, and paying him a little bit more to stay. He's on a 1-year deal, right?
He was like $3 million. Yeah, so you're going to get. He's not going to cost.
The left guard and the right guard. That's where we're gonna in the left tackle probably use on the first round pick.
We have to get. We're
The
have
guards. We got to get solid guys.
We're going to have to do something left tackle if Braxton Jones is going to be out for a couple games to start the year because of the injury.
Well, see, I believe when I was doing my research, there's 2 offensive linemen that are ranked really high in the top 5 from Texas. So this is offensive line draft.
Offensive line and edge.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and we need them
That's
both.
what I'm saying. Like, you're going to use in our first 3 picks, you're going to see probably 2 O-line and an edge rusher. That would be conventional wisdom, at least, that they're going to see. I mean, you could see 3 O-linemen and no edge rusher. I mean, you could see that.
Huh.
Campbell may not fall to us. I don't think he'll go to us.
Ratledge from Georgia might.
Or you go get Banks.
Yep.
Out of Texas.
Yep.
So
you're gonna have you take the second best guy or the third best if you can get him.
But
let me give you.
It's the Bears though. We'll probably pick a wide receiver at 7.
Yeah. So here's the here are all the guys on the roster right now.
Kicker, yeah.
And the O line.
I'll bring that up too.
Center, we're not going to keep him. Well, is he a 1-year? Is he a rookie guy?
Who?
Last year, he's on the practice squad. So
who's that?
Some of these guys are practice squad guys, but they've come up for a game or 2. He's got 1 snap. Coleman Shelton will probably keep. Doug Kramer, he's probably gone. Jake Curhan, he's probably gone. Bill Murray, he's
Kramer as a fullback.
No.
What?
No.
I keep Kramer
as a fullback.
O-line and fucking
fullback. That fumble was on Caleb Williams.
43 snaps he played this year. I mean, he's drafted in 22, so he's still in a rookie deal. You're right. Maybe you do.
Just keep him.
He's still in a rookie deal. Matt Pryor, you might keep. Ryan Bates is gone, probably.
Yep.
Tevin Jenkins, you're keeping, but if the money's right, because his PFF grade is great. He's only played 495 snaps this year. Theo Benedict, well, he's a rookie, but he's a practice squad guy. Darnell Wright, you're obviously keeping. Kieran, you're keeping. He's on a rookie deal. You got to develop him. Braxton Jones, actually, he was drafted in 22 from Southern Utah. Obviously, you're keeping him, but he's on the IR. And Larry Borum, who was drafted, who came out in 21, his PFF's at 49.2, but you're keeping him at depth if you that 10th guy, so to speak. But that's your guys right now on the roster. I mean, so really, we're not. That's our problem. We're not deep at all.
And Angel says we need a field goal kicker that can kick over 50 yards. And to bring that up too, we could have tied that game up. It was a 56-yard field goal.
Well, go back to week 2. The week 2 game, the reason why we lost the week 2 game is because they had a field goal kicker who could kick them in from 55 plus, and he did 3 times. For the Bears, that would have been 3 punts.
I said that on the Red Zone rant this morning for sure. Anything within about 40 yards, he's money. But he don't have a big leg. Nowadays, you have to have a big leg for positions like that because we had a chance to do something and we couldn't. We had to put our offense on there.
And that's the same thing about Robbie Gould too. He was money between 40 and 50, but our offense got him into the position to kick that field goal. But if it was over 50, Robbie Gould had an issue.
With Cairo, he's got two things need to happen in the kicking game. First off, Cairo, you need to get to the gym, get you some leg strength. Secondly, the Bears need to bring in some guys who can kick from distance and either push and overtake Cairo or make Cairo do kick those longer balls.
Right, Ken? Get Messi in there.
Well, if Cairo don't have a big leg now, I don't think the weight room's going to help him.
No. Yeah, we can get Lionel Messi for $30 million a year.
Get on them roids, boy. Pumping them in your leg.
Be like Dicka getting Ricky Williams. Give him all that money. Give all the draft picks.
But we're not just lacking offensive line. I feel like we're lacking defensive line too.
Edge.
Oh, for sure.
Edge is killing us.
And I think we need another, maybe a safety, maybe another cornerback as well.
Definitely safety.
This is our leading sacks this year. Sweat had more last year in just half the season than he did a full season here.
If he was healthy, he might have got a little bit more.
I mean,
the Darrell Taylor, he got his he had 2 sacks in the very first game. He just got his 3rd sack this last game.
So defensively on the line, right? God, we've got a lot on the roster. So, Austin Booker actually, as a rookie, played 267 snaps. He's got a grade of 50 right now. I mean, he's a rookie. We expect him to develop. He's gotten better as the year has gone on, right? DeMarcus Walker, actually, he's ranked 55th out of 116. He hasn't been bad. He's got a grade of 65. Sweat's got a grade of 65. Darrell Taylor, not as good, and he's played more snaps. Billings has been okay. Dexter's been great.
Dexter's on the interior, but no.
I'm looking at interior and exterior.
But imagine if in the offseason to add to Sweat, what if we wouldn't have got Josh Sweat or Chase Young? Because they both have been playing good ball, and Chase Young is actually staying healthy.
I definitely have to Chase Young.
That's the thing. We don't know how they do on other teams. Look at Chase Young's working out in New Orleans.
What's his stats right now?
But Nola might not have the money for Chase Young, so he could be. I'll look him up. Chase Young.
Okay.
Chase Young's got 7 sacks, 58 pressures.
You see her all the time. What the fuck?
And he played with Montez in Washington.
Come here, my angel.
And they played well together. So that would be a guy. Now, what kind of money is he going to demand? That's the question.
From Chase, I would think in between it'd be probably 10, 15 with incentives.
It really isn't.
So Chase Young this year, he ranked 82nd out of 206 edges with his overall grade of 64.5. His pass rush is a 65.5. His run defense is a 50.8, which puts him at 163rd of 206. 16 solo tackles, 7 sacks, 3 assists, and 1 forced fumble.
Jeez, those are Yannick numbers with the run.
So the thing, though, he played with Sweat. Maybe Sweat's the reason why he's not here to begin with. Maybe they went to Sweat and Sweat look at, he's just not good in the locker room, whatever. I mean, I don't know, but I think Chase could be available because they got a lot more problems down here in NOLA than we do up north.
Sure.
And NOLA has a lot of cap issues, and he may be one of the cap casualties. Might be able to get him in free agency. I don't know. Let me look at what his over the cap is.
I don't think it has it.
If they even have it.
All right, let's end this segment and get right into the polls.
Yeah.
Well, let me look up this thing on Chase Young real quick, then we can get into the poll.
Mike's dying for the polls.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I got 3
So
guys.
this year he signed. This year he signed. It was $12 million basically for him this year. I think we might be able to get his valuation. That's his valuation.
10 to 15 probably.
Oh, that's a tough question. There's a but in that one.
I mean, there's
So
a chance.
Chase-
There's a
This-
chance.
For Chase Young, there's no market
They
value
don't-
on him.
They don't have market value right now for some reason.
For some of the guys they do, some of the guys don't. Like it's
I-
really weird with them.
Answer this question. I think Poles will be here next year, but I do not trust. And I don't know if you guys agree with me. It doesn't really matter. Poles finding the next head coach.
No.
Well,
So
Well,
interesting fact. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, here's the thing with that. Like, yeah, the GM should be able to choose, but there's somebody higher than him on the pay rate, and that's the McCaskies and Warren. So whatever the McCaskies and Warren says, regardless what Poles wants, that's what it gets.
Fun
You know what I
fact.
mean? 'Cause if you rewind back,
Even though Warren said that it's going to be a mutual decision between him and Poles.
Well, here's a fun fact, guys. Who hired Matt Eberflus?
Grab that from him. That's fine.
McCaskies.
You can have that.
Thank you. It wasn't Poles. Poles is not
Right.
picked as the coach yet.
That's her
and you
voice.
got to remember,
Well,
Poles at the beginning of this year wanted to let go of Eberflus and look another direction. The McCaskies and Warren said, "No, we're gonna keep with Eberflus." Then in the middle of the season, they're like, "Hey, you got to let him go." Poles as a GM, he's like, "Hey, I respect Eberflus. Can we let him finish out the year?" Nope, you fire him now.
And,
So there's somebody else always higher than
Yeah.
you. So regardless if you like that situation, you got to do what you're basically told.
I
regardless
understand
of
that.
what-
I'm just going with the interview that Warren said. It's going to be a mutual decision between him
Well-
and Poles for the next head coach.
Well, what I seen is Poles will have a say so in it, but at the end of the day, Warren chooses.
And
So-
the interesting thing I heard this week, you guys probably heard it as well. Indianapolis was going to fire Eberflus
Yep.
before we hired him.
Yeah. I said that on Friday morning on their show.
So the interesting thing though but that has nothing to do with Poles though, right? Because here's the
Right.
thing in the timeline. Poles is hired, and then 2 days later they hired Eberflus. Poles had nothing to do with the head coaching search that year. All the interviews and everything were completed before Poles even got there. They made it. It may have been his first official act, but Poles had zero to do with hiring Eberflus except for signing the contract.
Did Warren
Right.
tell you that?
Well,
Well,
no, I mean it's a simple fact. You can look it up.
they also share the same agent. So
Yeah,
he
but I mean,
obviously knew what was going on.
So Poles really did select a coach. And as far as like Waldron was 100% an Eberflus hire. Poles let his head coach pick his offensive coordinator. So, people like go, Poles has to be fired because of the coaches. Okay. The coaches he's had nothing to do with. It's been higher up or the coach they just fired. Poles has literally done nothing with the coaching because he hasn't for whatever reason. Be it because higher up said that's going to be your head coach, and then he said, "Okay, head coach, pick your OC," which most GMs do anyway. But when you look at Poles, look at the players he's put on the field overall and the roster he's built overall. I think he's deserved at least another year, if not more, with the
Hey,
roster
Ken,
he's
let
built.
me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What third round pick has worked out for us?
So don't
Oh, let me go look up all our third round picks. If you want
folded one.
to hear about third
Well,
round picks,
there's
all
pros and cons. There's been a couple bad moves, but there's been some good moves too.
I'm not saying he's done anything bad, but he hasn't hit on one third round pick yet.
who cares?
But the thing
Well,
is that
That's a third round. That's a starter.
Poles can
That's
do
a
whatever he.
starter. You mean who cares?
Who cares? Who cares? Honestly.
And I understand what Poles did with this roster, but dude, think about it. We're not fucking winning and doing anything.
Championship
So how
for
much
what?
of
One in
that
the
is
trenches, right? He did not attack the trenches. Him thinking that it was good or decent going into the season isn't good. That's not good enough. It should have been attacked.
He
Rome,
addressed
as much
it.
as I like Rome, he was a want, not a need.
We didn't need him.
We could have dropped back from Rome and go get Jackson Powers Johnson as the center. We could have gone and get Shanu.
Or do what I said too.
Is it
Get
that
rid
easy,
of
really? Is
move
it
back
that
and got
easy?
first
Really?
or
It's just that
Dallas
easy?
Turner.
I mean, I love how people
It's an
think
attempt
it's
to
just
do it.
that
It's
easy.
an
Well,
attempt to-
we
it's
could
an
have
attempt to
done
do it.
this, but do we know for a fact we could have?
We could have moved back and got Verse
We
or
could have,
Dallas
yeah,
Turner.
we could have, got
Okay,
Edge.
well, wait.
Even edges, yes.
Let's talk about that. Do we know for a fact there was a buyer for 9?
We don't know.
I'm sure Denver would have moved
Nobody
up to
knows.
us.
Nobody knows.
No, we don't
well,
know.
we could have traded down. Really? Do we know that for sure? And then if you trade down, then is the guy still available? There's
And
so
that's
many
where-
moving
Who
pieces.
wouldn't want to? Who wouldn't want to move up to get the player they want?
Exactly. We almost did it for Rome if Atlanta wouldn't have passed.
And I have no problems with Rome. I have no problems with us drafting Rome.
I had a problem drafting Rome because we didn't need him.
Yeah, you say that today, but now that the wide receiver position is locked up for the next 5 years, and we're no longer going, oh, is it going to be some guy named White who's a first-round bust again? When was the last time we had a pair, let alone one good receiver, let alone 2 on the book for 5 years?
I'm not saying Rome is a bad wide receiver. He's good. He's got over 700 yards for a rookie.
Third
The
on
two
the
number
team.
ones on the team. No, I'm not saying. I said he was a want, not a need, though.
Well, I personally think he was a need. Maybe not this year, but next year. Because what if we let go of Keenan? We always need that number 2. Rome's going to step into that number 2 spot.
I think we could have just fine with more Keenan and Kmet. Be honest with you, and get that offensive lineman or edge rusher last year in the draft. We don't know how it would have turned out, but it might have been probably better than what we did this year.
Nate Davis didn't pan out, and that happens. I mean, look, he was good. He was good when he played in Nashville. So no one bitched and complained about the signing at the time it happened. It's like, okay, this guy's pretty good. The other Yahoo that we signed last year,
Bates didn't work out either.
Bates, we were happy with Bates. We could roll the tape back. Everyone here was happy with Bates, but Bates didn't work out either.
Claypool trade. I get the trade, but that wasn't bad. When Steelers are letting go wide receivers.
Now we're going back to Chase Claypool.
They let him go.
Okay, so
we're going with polls. We're going with polls. Season as a DM,
so let's go back to Claypool now. Claypool was at the time. No one really said, "Oh my God, what a terrible trade!" Fired the GM over. I mean, you looked at his numbers, his playability. He's like, "Okay, this is a good one." They miss on players, fine, but you know what? He didn't miss on Montez Sweat.
No, he didn't miss on
one here and there. You know what I mean? It's got to be consistent, though. Let's get a couple more in there to build this team up.
Okay, let's go. The Justin Fields trade. We got a 6th rounder, but apparently Washington was offering so much more. I don't know how much truth that is.
I've never seen. Yeah, so there's one website out there that said Washington was going to give up like multiple first-round picks. And here's the thing: it was a fan website where they postulated what they should do. Washington never gave that offer.
I don't think
that offer never came. Washington never offered the number 2 pick or the number 3 pick plus another first rounder plus something else. They never offered that. That's never been proven.
Well, what I heard was with the Fields trade is that was the best offer all over the NFL was the 6th round pick from Pittsburgh. So I don't know what to say.
They did have other offers, but they gave it to Justin Fields and him to choose where he wanted to go. That's why he went to Pittsburgh. One of the reasons, not saying the only reason.
Which Mike, I'll agree with you that if you could have gotten a 4th rounder guaranteed from Seattle, for example, it wasn't just for sake of argument. Yeah, that would have been a better football move today. But in no other way, dude, people in the league know Foles is a straight shooter now, and they say he's going to be. They talk about, do you want to go to a team for all these other factors, dude? Having a GM that's not going to basically screw you over is a big thing for guys, right? Like they don't want to go to a guy who's going to screw them on a contract and treat them like trash. And Foles has proven to players that look at, he took care of Justin. He did right by Justin. That may have.
I don't agree with that.
You're not wrong.
He didn't draft him. You don't owe him anything.
Hold on, Mike. Let me finish the thought. Mike, hold on.
Hurry up.
Hurry up. Don't tell me to fucking hurry up. I'll take as long as I want.
Come on.
I'll take as long as I want, Mike, and I'll take even longer because
10 minutes.
you're doing this.
Well, I like to say something too. So
it goes a long way that he did right. That he did right by Justin. It goes a long way, so that could benefit the Bears. If not, I can finish the thought. That can benefit the Bears down the road when looking at a free agent signing. They know that Foles is going to be fair with you, and he's not going to try to screw you over. So that could be a good thing long term. But I agree with you on the short term. Yeah, it hurt because you took a lesser draft pick. You may go now.
Okay.
Wow.
Since we only got
Let
a
me
few minutes
respond to
left.
that then.
Oh, go ahead, Woody. I'll make this quick.
I understand what you're saying, Ken, about the future. I don't give a fuck about other teams. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing for my team. So now, as a Bears fan, I was pissed off because they traded him to Pittsburgh for a 6th-round pick, could have been 4th, but they didn't. They wanted to start Russell Wilson, so we don't get it. Now, on top of that, they could trade Justin Fields too. They're talking about that.
Yeah. Well, he's a free agent at the end of the year, and I agree with you, Woody, 100%. I don't care about other teams, but that's more the point. Is Poles now, for people to come here, that's a positive thing down the road where a player may decide between us and, let's say, Cleveland, for example, because they know that Poles is not going to do them dirty, whereas a GM somewhere else may have a reputation for doing them dirty. So reputation-wise, it was a good thing for the organization. Draft pick-wise, I agree, not so good. You maybe could have gotten a 4th, but now you got a 6th. Yeah. On that point, I agree. But the reputation thing, it might pay off for you down the road because maybe now you get Chase Young. We get Chase Young versus him going to Washington, let's say, if their GM doesn't have a like reputation. You see what I'm saying? That's where that could come in. But go ahead, Mike.
I guess I wouldn't be a good GM then.
Okay, so I got 3 names if Poles happens to be let go. All right. I'll start with number 3. Will McClay, the assistant vice president of player personnel out of Dallas. What does Dallas have for the last damn near every fucking year? A good old line, right? Pretty solid. Definitely a hell of a lot better than ours. Okay. I think Cooper Rush is playing a hell of a game right now.
Okay.
You want to go upstairs?
And then the next one is probably one of my favorite ones. Alex Halaby, the assistant GM out of Philly.
No Philly.
Like that.
No
Philly. No Philly. Okay.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, we don't like anybody from Philly.
No, you want to talk about it, and you want to talk about an owner that fucks people over? Go to Philly.
Well, I was really saying Will McClay because who knows more about meddling owners than the Cowboys and then us.
So basically, what you're saying is we should go get a guy who isn't allowed to do anything because Jerry Jones does it all.
Well, he'll be able to do that.
And if we get a GM from,
McCaskey's damn near make every fucking decision they make.
I was about to say McCaskey's is just like Jones.
So it's the same shit. It's the same show.
But who's your third guy?
Ray Agnew, assistant GM out of Detroit. He's been there since 2021.
So Mike.
You get Ray Agnew, you could probably get Ben Johnson.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. So if Dallas, say if Poles gets fired and we bring their GM in, they're going to bring in Mike McCarthy if they don't re-sign him or extend him.
Oh God.
Fuck,
you know what? No. His offense looks better than ours. Shit.
Wow, Jesus Christ.
I mean, look, if you're predicating,
I'm actually curious to see what Brown's his playbook was because he's playing off Waldron's playbook, right? I would like to see what.
Well, we'll find out with a different team because it won't be in Chicago next year. He's gone. Yeah.
I think he goes back to LA.
I mean, here's the thing, though. You're predicating all this about how they've drafted one position group, the O-line. What about every other position? First off, we don't know how much they've drafted. Remember, Poles, look at the arguments you're making now. It's the arguments people made for Poles. He was part of the group that drafted Patrick Mahomes. He was the assistant GM that drafted Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. If you look at what Poles has put on the field overall, minus the O-line performance, it's been really good. The second you fire Ryan Poles to GM somewhere else the next day, somewhere in this league. So I get what you're saying. But to go with a couple, I mean, even our assistant GM was looked at for GM positions last year, right? People in this league respect how the Bears draft and sign people, obviously, because they're looking at our assistant GM to be a GM as well. That's another telltale sign that Poles is creating a GM tree when they're starting to look at your assistant GM to become a GM in a different ball club.
Well, nobody's looking at him now because everybody thinks he's going to get fired.
Well, I've not seen anything where anyone thinks he's going to get fired. That's been nowhere with our assistant GM. I've seen him linked to a couple GM jobs again this year, though.
Poles.
Mike's got some breaking news.
No. I want to. Whoa! Did the Briggs one get Bought
The,
I
the
want that
year
one.
supply of coffee, no one predicts.
So it's not
Well,
overflowing.
Well,
The
someone
thing
tried
about
at the
polls-
last minute to bring in a prediction. Go ahead, Mike.
Poles is a terrible evaluator of talent because he drafts players that play like himself, which he was
Jake on
cut
the
from the
steps?
practice squad.
No, they're both
The
just
same
standing
line.
here looking.
Oh.
He also has a terrible
Of course,
judgment
you
and
don't get pushed
character.
down the steps.
Claypool,
One
So I had to get a fifth one up
Davis.
for me.
Who else is there? All right, 2 guys so far.
Oh, Ken's gone. Huh.
Oh, Ken is gone. Wait a minute, it got really
His
quiet.
computer probably died. Oh, there he is.
Okay,
He can talk as long as he wants, Ken. When he
but
gets on, let him talk.
but Poles
Sorry, Ken.
he's not a great evaluator of talent.
So,
Right?
Mike, before I lost internet connection for a second, you've got an announcement for the final week of the season?
Yeah, we haven't had a winner since Mike, week 1. I keep trying to
I'm a
bring
genius.
a genius.
Oh God, I got right 2 times last year. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
But usually
I
there's
wasn't here
multiple-
last year.
But usually there's multiple
Was
winners
there?
on my page.
Yeah,
which
you
are
were.
Only
Yeah, you were.
one.
Yeah, I see.
But the final
memories.
week, if somebody
got you.
can choose the score correctly, will win coffee and the Briggs.
So if you can get the correct score for on Mike the Bear fan page, the correct score for Bears at Packers, you will win basically 12 bags of coffee. That's a year supply
12 bags of coffee.
from Veterans Roastery of America, Bears Spectacular, and a
31-6.
signed Lance Briggs photo.
Well, the
31-6.
But
big
if
question
nobody-
is that big
But if,
question.
but if
Go ahead.
nobody picks the same exact score, it'll be the closest score. That
Oh
way
my God.
somebody can at least win the Briggs pick.
Jesus Christ! I won the last 2. Oh my fucking
to
God!
get
I was
the
off by
fucking
1
Game
point.
up, buddy.
So hold on,
Damn
let me
it.
make sure we got this
Fuck.
straight. To
2
win
point
the
conversion.
coffee and the picture, you have to get it exact. If no one gets it exact, the closest person doesn't get the coffee, but they'll at least get the signed photo.
Yes, sir.
There you go. And when's that going to be up on the page, Mike?
Game day, like it is.
Probably
every-
10 minutes before.
No, it'll be on first thing in the morning, right after the morning.
Well,
post, it'll be
yeah,
on.
let's get some more information if Caleb's actually going to start.
I wouldn't.
Look at.
Well,
there-
he's
you
got to go
guys
out on
have
a high
week.
note.
You guys out there have a week to really think about this score and put that score next Sunday on Mike's page to try to win you a year supply of coffee and a signed Lance Briggs book.
Well, at least I was sort of right. I said 32 to 3,500 this year.
See, you're always right, Woody.
I didn't.
What do
So
you
we got to see. We got to.
That's not including the game that he plays today. Jordan
what-
Love.
Woody has no opinion.
No, we got to see where the Packers are. If they're very definite at their seed next week, they might rest. Who knows?
But
But
it's us. They're going to play us hard, no matter what.
And here's something else that we'll talk about it Wednesday. We'll talk about Sunday. This Ryan Poles thing isn't done. We're almost out.
we're doing a New Year's Day
But-
edition, huh?
But yeah, here's the thing: we will find out on Black Monday whether or not Ryan Poles is fired or not. The Bears are going to fire Ryan Poles if they're going to do it. They will do it on Black Monday because they're not going to want to wait forever to get a new one. They're going to want to rip the Band-Aid off and do it right away. So we'll
Woody,
be
do you-
talking
do you
about that
think he's
Wednesday and Sunday. But for now, we go to Woody with Woody's wrap up and the final thought of the day before we let y'all go watch football.
My final thought: I think Poles is gonna. I think he's still gonna be there next year to draft. We're gonna get some offensive linemen next week. Is going to be hopefully. I think Caleb Williams has to go out on a high note. I would like to start Badgett to see how he does, but they're not going to do that because it's Green Bay. I think Green Bay is just going to handle us in Green Bay next week. I just got to think of the score because, Mike, I guarantee I'm going to win that fucking coffee and Briggs signed. And is that real
Ooh.
signed or is that just yours?
That's real.
Oh, what's
sign
that
with
Packer
Packer
shit
seal.
back there? Rip that motherfucking thing off the
I'm at a
wall.
buddy's house. I'm at a studio, man.
Oh, you! I would burn that.
Yeah, he's at Bills. And don't forget, we still got a few seconds. Don't forget.
And he's wearing yellow. What the fuck?
That's
And
why
Detroit.
I'm on mute most of the time.
Don't
Detroit.
forget Ken and Ken in the morning tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central. Every day with JB finalists. Every day we'll be back here Wednesday for Halas Hall Report, which will be the final regular season Halas Hall Report on a Wednesday for the season. And we'll preview the Packers game as we get into that final war week. Also, don't forget we got open mic night next Saturday Red Zone Rant will be on next Sunday before us at this as usual. And if about Halas, not Valhalla Hour, but Goal 365 is also turning into an open mic night past the first
for
hour.
fuck's
We went
sake.
for 5.5 hours yesterday. Great football discussion. We had some guys like Rick Mott on there. We had a good time.
Oh,
Join
boy.
all the networks. But for today, guys, enjoy all the football games, and we'll see you Wednesday on Halas Hall, and we'll see you tomorrow morning on Kennington.
Toy.
And
Have a great day, everyone.
Minnesota